How you going, people? All right, let's talk about a couple of things that came out here in the old in the last video I did. So let me move to the left. I think if I move to the left, can I move to the left of that flag there? I'll move this so flag's at my left, or actually it's camera left, my right. But anyway, I digress. Hi, Moki. Moki's running around. So let's talk about a couple things that came up in that Chicago shooting with the woman with the knife. First of all, people are kind of implying or thinking or maybe confused that I somehow cut that video. Gal's mad because it's ran out of hay. I threw a little bit over there, but I guess I finished it. Did you hear that? She yelled at me. I just gave you some. I'll bring you some after the video. Don't be talking smack on YouTube. All right. So back to the video. So in that Chi-Town shooting where they shot supposedly a woman with a knife, I didn't see the other video. I mean, to be honest, I watched so much video. My buddy goes, man, you should watch this guy. You should follow this guy. I can't follow anybody because I'm constantly trying to quick review videos from all the people that say do this video or do this. And again, it's not just from the gun channel, it's from my horse channel. You know, I got 100,000 subscribers on the horse channel, so I get just an outrageous number. So I'm always trying to review and find out which ones I want to do, or if I can get to the point, or if I can find it. So I don't have time to just kind of view videos a whole bunch. So when that Washington shooting came out, the Washington Post had a video, and that was the link that somebody sent me, and I went, oh, okay, that looks pretty good. I don't like the video footage. But now that everybody's telling me there was all kind of other footage out there, it makes sense, because the Washington Post is pushing their liberal left-wing agenda, trying to turn people, you know, they don't show that the woman's black in that video. You saw that. I didn't know she was black. They don't show it because they don't want to promote that she came out with a knife and she got shot. I mean, look, the media is just so unethical and deceptive. It's hard to tell, but I don't want people thinking that I'm trying to either make the cops look good or make the cops look bad. I kind of look at the video and I judge what I see. And that Washington Post video, the one that I used, is what the Washington Post put out on their site and when they put out the video. So now it sounds like they cut and pasted because there was other footage from others. And I usually go to police activity because they usually do good videos. And for some reason I just didn't go there and search it. And you know, I used the video I had because it was quicker, easier, it was there. I watched it because I got to watch it once to see if I want to do it. Then I have to watch it kind of to get my notes, tactically observing it instead of just watching it to see what happens. And then I'm kind of tactically, then I have to watch it and play it again when I make the video. And then I have to watch it again if I put in any editing. So, I mean, each video, it's very hard to look at a bunch of videos. But, I mean, I appreciate all I always tell my buddy, I'm like, dude, I got the greatest viewers. Because you guys challenge me, you ask good questions, you think about things, you don't always agree with me, but, you know, when you disagree, it's because you have a certain belief, whether it's right or wrong. I'm not saying mine's right and you should agree with me. I'm just saying, just because you disagree with me don't make you right either. Just because you agree with me don't make you right. But sometimes you have a different perspective because you're either not a cop, you've had experience with cops, the people who have fed you information about cops have shaped your mind. So I'm always getting these different angles, and to me it's interesting, and it keeps my mind going, okay, you got a valid point here, okay, you're full of shit here, etc., etc. So I like the different views, but there was one view that came out that I was like, man, I got to address this, because on paper, a lot of times a comment looks reasonable, and it looks articulate, and it looks like it makes sense. But if you look at the whole picture, it's not. So one comment that kind of, it didn't rub me the wrong way. I was just like critically thinking, that's not a good comparison. Although it looks like a good comparison. So one guy put in there that I was in Iraq, and our commander had us carry around rules of engagement, and we had certain things that we had to do, and even if they were shooting explosives or guns at us, we still had to evaluate and use minimum force before we decided to use deadly force. And why can't cops do that? Now that sounds really good. And when I read it, I went, dude, that sounds real good, but it's just not reality. It sounds good for political reasons, or to make someone think that you're giving a good sound argument, and you really can't argue with that. But man, there is such a difference between war and police work. And I know the analogy was that police work in America seems like they're at war with the people and they shoot first and ask questions later. And when we go to war in other countries, we're more concerned about saving life than we are our cops on the street. Look, everybody knows that I'm not a 100% blind cop supporter. There are bad cops, there's bad firemen, there's bad doctors. All politicians are bad, but in every other career field, there's some good and some bad. So when you're out there as a cop, to think that most cops go out there, man, I just want to shoot somebody. First time somebody gives me a chance, I'm going to draw my gun and put a couple rounds in them, and I'm going to kill them, because that's going to make me feel good. It's going to enhance my career. It's going to make my life really wonderful because I killed somebody. Who believes that? I guarantee you no cop I know believes that. Now, there may be some young cops who have never been in a shooting that's kind of like, man, I'm ready, I've tactically trained and I've done all this, and if I get in a shooting, I'm ready and I can pull that trigger and I can take. They may think that, and that's okay. And you should think that, because you have to be able to decide that you can kill somebody to save your life. You don't want to be making that decision in the middle of a crisis. That's why when we're training people with guns, we tell them, look, you're picking up a gun that can kill somebody. Don't pick up this gun because you want to punch holes in paper and look cool and have all the gadgets and follow all the tactical cool new stuff that everybody's telling you about this stance and that stance and where your thumbs are and how you should do this and breathing and what stance you're going to use, isosceles, or you're going to use the weaver, or you're going to crouch, or you're going to... I mean, you can get all into that, but look, when you arm yourself with a gun, you have to know that the purpose of doing this is to save my life if somebody's going to take my life, and I have to be able to make that decision in a split second or I die. Now, I'm talking about the civilian here. As a cop, because we go out there every day, we have much more rules and checklists that we have to go through. Policy, use of force, escalation of force, all these factors have to be programmed in and searched very quickly before we make a decision to use deadly force. And cops see every day how when you use deadly force, and this is probably the biggest thing that makes cops second guess and get cops hurt, is the fallout of a shooting. It's all bad. Nobody in a police work shoots somebody and turns out being a great thing. It just doesn't happen. It's always bad. You took a life. You're going to get beat up by the media. Politicians are going to exploit you. They're going to say that you were wrong. They're going to say you could have done this and you should have done that, and why didn't you do that? And the lawyers are going to probably maybe charge you, and there's going to be people that want you charged. And the police department's not going to want to look like they're covering up for you, so they're going to probably write you up or find something you did wrong, and they're going to try and distance themselves if it looks bad so they don't get sued and they have to sue you, and then they can say you violated policy and you didn't do what you were supposed to, therefore it's not our fault, it's your fault. Even though for the last 50 years they've done the same thing, they've done the same training, and they've never given any corrective discipline saying that what you do is wrong. The only time agency and governments tell somebody in government they're wrong is when they get caught and they can't defend it. Then all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait a minute, we never told him to do that, he shouldn't have done that, he should have done this. So anybody that thinks a cop goes out there and thinks, man, today's the day I'm going to shoot somebody and really just shoot my career through, and man, I'll get promoted to police chief and I'll get a big raise and my life's going to be fairyland, cottontails, unicorns, and freaking pink. I mean, whatever. It just doesn't happen, people. When you get in a shooting, it's a bad thing. Nobody wants it. Nobody looks for it. But you have to be able to decide, I can do it. Now, back to the war versus police. When you're at war and you're in the military and you're in an operation, you have rules of engagement, you are in a totally different mind frame and setup. You go out there knowing who your enemy is. Well, not in Iraq, because the people that you're there supposedly to protect are filtered in with the enemy. So nowadays in war, it's hard to tell who the enemy is. But it used to be very defined. The bad guys wore this uniform, you wore this uniform, the red coats, the blue coats. Everybody knew who the enemy was on the battlefield, and you fought the enemy. Police work, you don't know that. There are no defined enemy. Everybody is either your enemy or your friend, and you have to decide that in a very limited time that you contact somebody. And that process is not as easy. Any idiot can be a cop. They give them a gun and a badge, they just go out there and shoot people. Well, you're a freaking idiot if you believe that. I mean, most police academies are months long, and the use of force and legalities and rules of evidence and rules of testimony and what you can say in court and what you can't, and search procedures and when you have exigency and when you don't, and how do you justify one. There's a lot of complexities to law enforcement. But, you know, it's easy for someone to say, you stupid cops, you don't have to do nothing to get a gun. Well, you know, those people, I don't have time for. But the audience that is critically thinking, kind of trying to understand why cops are shooting people and it just looks bad, there's a whole bunch of factors. I'm not saying cops aren't out there doing bad shit, and I'm not saying cops are out there doing all the good things. I'm just saying it is a complex decision to get involved in any use of force, much less deadly force. I mean, every time I contact somebody, if I bump, put them in handcuffs, put my hands on them, move them from one place to the other, I'm exerting force. And there are procedures and policies that I have to be able to justify why I did what I did. If I get called out, obviously, you can break the law all day. If you don't get caught, it's not illegal. If I robbed 50 banks and never got charged, robbing banks may be illegal, but I don't get charged and I still rob banks, which is kind of the environment we're putting certain classes of people in. They can go out there and do whatever they want. What the hell's this thing making things now for? Hell, this little red thing's flashing. I don't know what the hell's wrong with the screen. Ever since I dropped it, it's been doing funky stuff. So anyway, understanding that when this guy made this comment, it sounded reasonable. You know what? We have rules of engagement in war. Why can't cops have rules of engagement? Cops have huge rules of engagement. We've got case law. We've got prior law from the 60s about when you can shoot a fleeing felon. It's constantly changing. It never stays constant. It can change from this month to the next month. Then you have departmental policy. If you change departments, each policy is different, so you have to learn new policy. Then you have different DAs that come in that make their own policy over your policy and say, I'm not going to charge this. And I tell the thing about Oakland. In Oakland, a cop can't charge resisting arrest unless they have stitches. I think that's absolutely outrageous. A cop should not have to go to the hospital and get stitches in order to charge somebody for resisting arrest. But in Oakland, because everybody fights the cops and everybody is guilty of resisting arrest, and there's no consequence for resisting arrest, and everybody does it, the DA just goes, I can't charge everybody with resisting arrest. Now, the other side is some cops charge everybody with resisting arrest when they shouldn't, and that's where the cops should be held accountable. But again, don't try to make police work and police decisions easy, because they're not. They're complex. I'm not saying it's rocket science. I'm not saying that it's a large, huge calculation to where if you do it right, everything always turns out right, because it doesn't. It involves people. It involves light and darkness and criminal elements and good people and emotional and domestic violence and somebody losing their kids. And there's a multitude of factors on what cops deal with. It's not like in combat, we have an enemy, we have rules of engagement. Police work, you have to treat everybody nice with quick, soft furry gloves. You have to kiss their butt. You have to be very nice because you're on camera, because they're videotaping you. You're videotaping yourself. Everybody's going to review what you did. And then you have to decide when and if to use force, and you have to decide what force to use, and are you within policy and legal law, and then You have to decide, are you justified to use deadly force? And if you use deadly force, are they going to say you could have done something else? And can I do something? And you have to do all that in a split second, reacting, not action. Remember, action's always faster than reaction. Cops have to react. So you have to do all that complex decision process in a split second when you're reacting to a threat that a suspect has already acted and tried to kill you. And if you're wrong, you die. And now people will be out there, oh, come on, Rick, that's just crazy. Those cops are out there shooting people just because they got a knife. Why didn't they do the pinky toe? Why didn't they? Look, man, you don't play with knives. I said it in a bunch of videos. I did that Surviving Edge Weapons video, and I thought I drove the point home. If you haven't watched it, I'll put it in this link. I said I put it in the link. I forgot. I added it. I'll put it in this link on the knife, on why you don't play with knives. Edge weapons are just as deadly, if not more deadly than guns. But you know what? Government don't care about knives. They want the guns. So they're going to make guns bad. When they get the guns and knife crime goes up like it is everywhere else where guns are outlawed, then they'll have to come back and find a new reason to tell you how they need to protect you. Don't give up your guns, people. I can't say it enough. It is a scam. There's no reason to take guns from good people because bad people do things with guns. It's just absolutely ridiculous. It's like taking cars from good people because idiots get out there and do something bad with a car. It doesn't make sense, but for some reason there is no logic when it comes to gun. Years of indoctrination of the schools, years of people saying guns are bad, years of creating fear of guns, years of plastering gun violence on TV. There's people overseas that think cops are out here shooting people every day and every cop shot somebody. There is such a small percentage of cops that have shot people. I'm going to say it's less than probably 0.01% of cops ever even shoot their gun in the line of duty, much less actually shoot somebody. It is so far and few between, it's outrageous. And if you talk to somebody overseas that watches our news, they think every department, every cop that works that department kill at least 1 or 2 people a week. It's just crazy because they don't think and they just watch the news and they're brainwashed. So, I digress. My boys, I guess the cow and the donkey left. On a side note, was shooting with a girl at the range the other day, and I'm going to take a close-up picture of this. Check out this bullet. This thing was in a Glock 19. It's a 9mm. I've never seen in all my years and all the thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of rounds that I've fired or seen fired, never seen a casing do this. And it shot black powder through the top, through the ejection port, and through the magazine well with a magazine and a gun. And I was like, what the hell is that? Is that a double load? What would cause a bullet to do this? It's pretty amazing to me. But I put it in my pocket, and the girl that was shooting was like, it burnt and it flashed. And I went, how's he going to do that if it's already a gun? I go, I don't get it. So, and I'm going to send a picture of this to my buddy who's a big reloader and all into this. What's the other thing I wanted to cover? There was a couple other little things I wanted to cover. The difference between war and police. Oh, somebody sent me a nice video of a girl with a nice, she held the weapon nice, had a black tank top on. Whew, man, that was a great video. Had some great information in it. I'll try to remember to put a link to it here about long-range shooting, 1,250 yards, getting the spin of the earth and the barometric pressure and all the other stuff that goes into making these long-range shots. And he has an app out there. It's pretty stinking cool. So thanks for that video. I did enjoy that video. I don't know if I'll do a video on it or not, but man, that was an easy video to watch. Once you watch a video, you'll know what I'm talking about. Alright, so what was the other thing? There was one other thing. Oh, on the bullet twist rate that I'm going to do on the Revolution. A lot of people got it right, 180,000 in a 1 in 12. But if you drop the bullet spin, a bullet twist coming out with a 1 in 12 twist at 3,000 feet per second will give you 180,000 revolutions per minute. That's fast. If you change that twist rate to 1 in 6, that doubles. So now you're at 360,000 RPMs. Now everybody's always like, oh, you want more twist, you want it's more stabilized, you want for heavier. Look, there's a lot of complexities, and I don't know it all. There's a whole bunch of people more smart at it than me, but I'm going to try and make a video on that just to get the formula out there. A couple people wrote the formula exactly as I had it. A couple other people gave some different ones. A couple people put links to a couple sites. So I appreciate all the feedback on that. That's going to make this other video may have more information. I like getting information from you guys before I do a video, because after I do a video, when you put good information in the comments, people that don't read the comments will miss that. So I'd rather have it so I can put it in a video. But if you want to get good information, or you see one of my videos, read the comments. I got some really smart people out there putting some great comments and great information. So I think that's it. There was one other thing I remember, because I remember there was like 3 or 4 things I want to talk about, and I haven't covered one of them. But oh, trigger pull. On the video, I'm going to put in a link here of the girl with the black tank top shooting a rifle at 1,200 yards. Watch her trigger finger. It's freaking amazing. I keep telling people about trigger reset. You are never going to get a good, accurate shot that you're capable of if you don't have trigger reset. This girl is shooting at 1,250 yards, and she's getting hits on target, and she has a bad trigger pull. If she increases her trigger pull, she would get better shots. Watch her finger, and watch every video and every shooter that you ever watch their finger when they pull the trigger. If you see bang, that is not a good trigger pull, and they do not have good trigger control. When a trigger pull is pulled, it has to be a squeeze, bang, and then you have to visually see the finger come back slowly. If you do not see that, the person is not shooting as accurately as they should. I think trigger control is the absolute most important thing to shooting. I didn't used to say that. Over years of training and shooting and competitions, I'm telling you, I honestly 100% believe that if people got control of their trigger finger, their shooting would increase at least 50%, if not more. So, I mean, the girl's a great shot. She's getting 1,200 feet. She looks freaking great shooting, but her trigger finger just kind of, I was like, damn, girl, somebody tell this girl about trigger reset and follow through. When you squeeze that trigger, do not let it go. People get in that bad habit. It's a horrible way to shoot. People don't correct it. People don't realize they're doing it. It becomes instinctual, because when the gun goes boom and jumps, for some reason, people just automatically release the trigger. And if you want to be a good shot and you want to increase your accuracy, control that trigger release. Squeeze slowly. You're thinking about it. The gun goes bang, and you're thinking about letting your finger go slow. 90–80%, who you ask, is all mental and shooting, and it's the ability to focus on the fine motor skills, the little things that make a difference when you're shooting, especially long distance. So those are the things I wanted to cover. Boys out there finishing their little snack. The wind wasn't blowing here too much a few minutes ago. It's starting to pick up now. Got the little flag up there. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, there goes Buddy. Where you going, boy? He's like, dude, I think you dropped some grass over here. Grass is starting to green up a little bit. It's not quite as dead, but pond's losing water. We're supposed to get rain next few days, so I was glad I was able to get out here and get this video done. But all right, thanks for all the great comments, and we'll end that one there. And I'm gonna get the videos coming. Are one on this little bullet here that blew out once I get some feedback, and then I'm going to get into the revolutions per minute, revolutions per second of a bullet, and I've got a target where a bullet actually was overspun and the lead inside melts. And if somebody who's a good on the heat ratio, and the mathematicians out there, at what speed does a lead bullet start melting? Because when you get a bullet fired out and you've got speed, friction of the wind, friction of the barrel, friction of the rifling and the twisting of the barrel, plus the burning gases, and then you've got a bullet flying through the air at 3,000 feet per second, spinning at 380,000 revolutions per minute, there is a lot of heat generated. What happens when lead melts, and at what temperature does lead melt, and at what friction point does a bullet coming out, does the lead melt in a bullet? I've got an actual picture of a bullet
where the lead flew out because it was melting and the copper jacking came apart. All right, so that video's coming. Well, Lynn, out there.